My name is Roland Harris. I'm a senior partner at the law office of Cohen Harris. I've been a practicing attorney for about 14 years, and I'd like to tell you 7 considerations the court will make in a custody dispute in the state of Maryland. Now, understand this list is not exhaustive, okay? Meaning it's not all the factors that the court will consider. And anytime we're talking about any of these factors, we have to realize that the court's number one goal is the best interest of the child. So each one of these factors has to be viewed through the lens of trying to find the best interest of the child. Now, one of the considerations that the court will make is the fitness of the parent. And so what the court wants to know is this a person who should even really be around kids? Okay? So the court will consider things such as a history of abusing children or being really nasty and rude to children and demeaning and causing pain in kids' lives, things like that. They want to know, is this a person who's unstable? Do they have some track record of bouts of homelessness or other problems, interacting with the rest of the world? Is this a person that's fit to be around kids? Now, just because you've had issues in the past and things like that does not mean that you are unfit to be around kids, but that is going to be a consideration by the court. Another consideration that the court is going to make are the character and the reputation of the parties that appear before it. Now, in other videos, I have discussed things like social media. And the reason why is because part of your reputation is how you hold yourself out to the community. So if you're on social media and you're showing guns laying all around your house and you're waving guns around and all this other stuff, the court may decide that you have a reputation for being kind of a loosey-goosey in terms of how you store your guns or how it is that you act. If you're out showing yourself driving around and you're using drugs and you're doing all these other things, that could be something that the court says, I don't think the way this person holds themselves out in the community, I don't really know that they should really be around kids like that. So you have to act accordingly, and you have to hold yourself out appropriately. Now, sometimes this issue can actually get really nasty because what'll happen is people want to bring in, everybody's uncle's cousin's brother's sister with a bad story about the other party. And so this and other factors, you do have to consider how it is that you present this evidence to the court, because after a little while, the court can kind of get fed up and start thinking that you're really just trying to smear the other party. But you also have to consider what it is that you hold yourself out as in the community. Another concern that the court will try to address is the sincerity of the requests of the parties. And what are the requests being made by those parties? Okay? So sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes people actually try to abuse the system. They don't really want to have custody of the kids. They don't really want to be around the kids. What they really want is they want to collect child support, or they want to hurt the other side, or they want to try to collect some other type of benefit as a result of having custody of the kids. And the court does not want to participate in that injustice. And so the court wants to try to figure out, are these people, are they making sincere requests? And what are the requests that they're actually making? And the court will take a lot of consideration of that. Now, you have to watch out, as with the other factor, that you're not bringing in evidence that gets to the point where it just looks like you're trying to smear the other party, okay? But at the same time, if they are insincere in their request, the court needs to be made aware of that, okay? Another consideration that the court is going to make is whether or not there are prior agreements between the parents. The reason why this is important is because it's always in the best interest of the child to have some level of stability within a child's life. And so if in the past the parents have operated under some type of agreement that has worked for the child, okay? An agreement that has worked for the child has done well and thrived under that prior agreement. The court wants to take that into consideration and see if there's some way that it can be worked out again in the future. It seems to have worked in the past. Why not consider it into the future? So the agreements between the parties will be a factor that the court will consider. Another factor that the court will consider is the willingness of the parties to come to some type of agreement, right? Or to come to some type of level of shared custody or something of the sort. it's important to know why it is, and that's why they want to deal with the sincerity of the request and things like that. But when you come to the table and you're willing to work with the other person, you really come across as a reasonable person. If you're coming to the table and you're saying it must be this way, you have to have a really good reason to support that position, because if not, you're going to look like you're unreasonable, and the court is going to take that into consideration. So a willingness to kind of come to the table and try to negotiate a little bit does go a long way with the court. Another factor that the court is going to consider is whether you're going to be able to maintain the relationships that have helped the child psychologically in their development. So within every household, there's going to be a series of different people that the child interacts with. And these people form a basis for this child's life. They teach them how to do things, they talk to them, they get to know them, the child gets to know them, and it's a real bond that they end up forming. And so having a parent that's saying, I'm willing to make sure that they remain in contact with all of these people, whether it's family members of the other parent, or going to places that they would go with the other parent. All these relationships, a willingness to be able to maintain those things, because that's always going to be in the best interest of the child, to not shock the child by all of a sudden ripping them away from things that they've been familiar with. And another thing that the court is going to consider is the age and the number of children that are in each parent's household. Just because there's a lot of kids in a household, that is absolutely not going to be a bar to having, being able to prevail on a custody dispute, or having children of various ages. But if you have two children in a household and the two children are very close in age, that means that they will be progressing through school together. They'll probably be within the same social circles. They'll be able to look out for each other, both within the home and outside of the home. And that can be a strong bond that children grow up with, and it goes with them into adulthood. So being able to have children that are close in age and things like that, those are very positive bonds that can happen within a household, and the court will definitely consider that. Like I said, these are not the only 7 considerations. I'll talk about other considerations that the court will make in a later video. But if you have any issues or any questions dealing with custody and you're in the state of Maryland, go ahead and give us a call. It's Cohen Harris. Our phone number is 888-585-7979. Thank you very much.